talk a little bit about formatting your comic for Webtoon or Tapas or Tabulit or whatever platform you're using to publish your webcomic. And I want to talk about two options. I had a couple of questions on my other Webtoon video that talked about my first week of Webtoon, which did really, really well. And I had a couple questions about formatting. So a couple things. This is the traditional format. Let me back out a little bit here. This is right here. So this area right here is basically an 11 by 17. Those are the dimensions I drew it at, and this was drawn in Clip Studio Paint, which Manga Studio, same thing. And I always do this way. I'll tell you what I do, and then you can decide for yourself which way you want to do it. So the Webtoon apps have introduced a different dynamic to reading books because of the scrolling, size of the screen, scrolling. And I'm going to, this comic I actually have not published on there yet. I'm going to do this as an experiment. And I'll show you the way I'm going to do it in a minute. But I always draw this way. Now, how I'm going to put it up is typically, oops, that's the dialogue. So, okay, so you see I've formatted the dialogue like a traditional comic. It fits in here. That's the only spot it breaks the panel barrier, the panel just because of space, the dialogue. So when I publish this page, this is typically how it looks like comics are being formatted for Webtoon. Now, in print, this is a lot of dead space. And I've seen some comics where there's huge, like you'll have a piece of text and you have space. And if you're on Webtoon or Tapas, whatever, you've seen it, it's just made to scroll. And when you're doing comics, you take into account the pacing of a scene, which means how fast things happen. You do things to slow the reader's eye down, to draw attention to stuff. And in traditional comics, that's done different ways with, just in the art, opening panels up and things like that. With Webtoon and apps, it's a different dynamic because you can scroll, and the scrolling and the dead space or negative space, just the white space in between panels, how far that is controls how the feel, the tone, the pacing of the story. So in that sense, it's not really dead space. It is, or if it's thought out, it's doing something, should be doing something. So when I published William the Last, I typically, and I'll try to pull up a thing here. Let's get a new window. So when I put up William the Last, I did it traditionally. So it's just like this. It's like this screen here. And part of the reason I chose to do that was because I had done so much of the story using the Comic Press plugin. Let me show you here. I've got this up here. That I just published it to my website in that form. So this is so I'm just continuing with that. Also, William the Last is going to be in print, and I want a traditional comic book. So I just basically have been uploading a page. And a lot of them, when I was doing longer updates, because Webtoon readers typically want longer updates, and when I got caught up with my queue of pages, I just went to a page a day update because I'm kind of drawing them now as I go. But stringing a few pages together gave longer updates. Okay. Now I have a hunch that if I broke this page up to look like this, even if just one page, then like I've done here, it would give the impression of a longer update because you're scrolling more. But a lot of readers, if they like your book, they want to read it. They want longer updates. That's a better thing. They're not going to stop reading, I don't think. They may look at your site less frequently to wait up till you build up a queue of pages instead of the trickle thing. So you have to decide if you're only going to webcomic form and you have no desire ever to go to print, do a Kickstarter, any of that, then breaking up the panels like this would be fine, however you wanted to do it. But if you want to go to do like a print comic one day, do a Kickstarter, you can't really publish the comic like this. I mean, you're not going to like publish a scroll like it's, ancient Egypt. So you've got to have it so in a format that's printed. Now, if you haven't drawn it with that in mind, it's going to be a lot of work. You either have to take that into account when you're drawing it and do the work then to say, I'm going to draw it this way and then break it up, or you're going to have the headache of going later and doing the work on the back end saying, I need to assemble this in a way that makes sense. You can do it either way. Either way, I think just planning from the outset is easier. So I don't, because I come from traditional comics and I want to print the comic, have the comic printed, and Webtoon and other apps are just a delivery system for publishing essentially. I kind of modify it to fit that, which is easy to do with panel. Like here, I can just basically I was just selecting a panel and get a new palette or whatever, simple name, new page that are the right dimensions, and then when I let break the border, it's a lot easier to break the border with the dialogue. So as they scroll, they'll hit this, then they'll see the reaction, then hit that. So those are the thing. One thing you need to take into account, and again, the arrangement, of course, is different with your dialogue. So dialogue, speech bubbles, and things like that. You want to definitely have those on a different layer. If you're drawing it all on by hand, all on hand lettering everything, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. So that's just I had a question about that, drawing traditional panel borders and things like that. I'm going to upload this one soonish. I'm should hopefully by in the next month or so. I'm going to put this one up on Webtoon as well and just see how it does in this format, because I'm interested to see if it grows faster than the other ones, slower, and it's a tricky thing because you can't really gauge because it's a different story, and people just might like the other story. And someone had mentioned in the comments that genre matters with Webtoon. Like if you look at I think they mentioned noir, like black and white crime things. That's like I think they said it was a no man's land. Romance is the most popular. Fantasy, I've noticed, does really well. So genre matters. Even if if you did a noir mystery story, that was the most groundbreaking, fantastic thing. And if you have one of those, do it. The challenge is if it's not, it is again the promotion and the delivery system to the audience. If the audience is typically not responding well to that category, you probably are going to have a hard time, or you're going to have to find creative ways to promote it. So yeah, that's pretty much. I just wanted to answer that question, just about formatting your comics. And I also said, you can, if you look at when you're looking at Webtoon, you're scrolling through those really long updates. Those are not single files; they are separate files, which is why I have 3 here. So these would be I would upload this one first, this one second, this one third, and when you look at it on your app, it's just continuous scrolling. I think the dimensions are. I don't know what they're like not 1280 or something by, it's a pretty standard size. Basically, if you draw it 11 by 17, traditional comic size, that is the perfect size to just upload a page. So it translates really well to drawing for print to web. Also, think about how you want to publish. Like a traditional comic book page is like 6 by 10 when printed. Maybe you want to do an 8.5 by 11. Maybe you want to do like a mini comic. If you already know how you want to have the thing printed, and do some research, like go to Print Ninja, which is where I got William Last my Kickstarter printed up for that. You can get quotes, different sizes, and so if you know that, okay, I want to raise X amount of money to have this printed, and this is a good size for it, try to draw for that size. So just some things to think about before you start uploading your comic to Webtoon. So hope this helped. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. I've gotten a lot of subscribers from the Webtoon video, so it seems to be helping people. So I thought I would just address some more questions. Check out some of my other videos, and you'll have to hit the little bell in the right above the description to be notified when I have a new video, because YouTube apparently doesn't want you to see what you subscribe to, I guess. I don't know. Anyway, thanks. Hope this helps, and I will see you next time.